Even with Zane showing that a sufficiently skilled Roy can dominate a stacked tournament, I hope it's still obvious that Roy's weaknesses are stacked up far higher than his strengths. Zane can make Roy work, but his punish flowchart with Marth is nearly impenetrable, and he can consistently devastate most characters off of one opening. Perhaps more importantly, Marth gets to be much more safe than Roy, for more reasons than you might think. There's the obvious thing, which is that Marth rewards you for hitting the tip of your sword, while Roy rewards you for hitting closer to him. I think this is irrelevant to why Roy is bad, because he still has plenty of good disjoint compared to characters who don't get to have a sword, and that's just looking at his sweet spots. Roy's hilt hitboxes are significantly bigger than Marth's, so he does have a fair bit of range to keep himself theoretically safe, and he doesn't need careful spacing to land one. Here's what really separates Marth's sword moves from Roy's. Marth's sour spots are often still useful, or at the very least, still keep Marth safe. Marth's sweet spots almost always put him in an advantageous position. If Marth lands a tipper, then his worst case scenario is that he's safe, and he's reset to neutral. His best case scenario is an opening for his excellent punish game. If Roy lands one of his sweet spots, it's anyone's guess as to what might happen. When you venture down the rabbit hole of what Roy's moves actually do, you start to realize just how much more time and thought was put into Marth's design, and how quickly Roy's moveset was thrown together at the last second. Roy's moves, for the most part, are so weak that his reward for landing a sweet spot is often more disadvantage than advantage. In clips of Zane's Roy punish, you can see this clearly. He needs to edge cancel just to string multiple hits together, and if he's not doing that, he's using Roy's up throw chain grab on a spacey, mixing in up smashes instead of Marth's usual up air or up tilts. Basically, Roy's punish works on Fox and Falco. But this video isn't about why Roy is terrible. We were just establishing some important groundwork for the real topic, which is, how do we make Roy actually function as a character? What would that look like, and how can we take Roy's strengths to redesign his kit to play to those strengths? Thankfully, we don't have to, because it's already been done. Project M's moveset design is often a big departure from Melee. Punish, recovery, and edgeguarding are all much stronger. Strange gimmicks can take over neutral in a way Melee sees most in its less viable characters. It's an excellent game in its own right, but translating Project M movesets to the Melee environment is usually a bad idea, because they were designed for different environments. However, for no character is this less true than Roy. Project M Roy has all the ingredients that make a Melee character hype. He's a fast faller, whose combos require skill, speed, and precision to execute. He has a varied punish game that hits hard in most matchups, and a simple man's gimmick-free neutral game. And I'm proud to announce that I ported Project M Roy's moveset almost in its entirety to Melee itself, custom animations and all. The only things that are missing are a couple of his side B attacks. In Project M, Roy can turn around his fourth side B. This is a pretty big deal, but I omitted this change because I don't know how to code it. He's also missing a custom animation for his side B forward down, which in Project M was a reference to Guilty Gear that most people missed because it didn't really look like what it was trying to reference from Guilty Gear. I omitted this change because it's a lot of work for not a lot of reward, considering the fact that that move sucks in both Project M and Melee, but now you can all see for yourself how a high-tier Roy would perform in the Melee meta. Before you do that though, let's dive into exactly what changed between Melee and Project M, and why his design is so smart and reminiscent of the Melee top tiers. Like most of the roster, Melee Roy has a couple of great moves that serve as the backbone for his game plan. Sheik has forward air and down throw. Falco has his laser and his pillar combos. Falcon has stomp and knee. And Roy has down tilt and forward smash. Roy's down tilt is as safe and easy to throw out in neutral as Marth's, but if it lands, it's far more rewarding. It's a launcher hitbox with 90 base knockback, which is a lot. This gives Roy a disjointed, fast, non-committal poke to start up combos at low percents on pretty much any character. As for F-Smash, Here's a graph comparing the knockback of Roy's sweet spot F smash and Marth's tipper F smash. Yeah, it's that strong. On top of that, it's gigantic. Not only the hilt of his sword, but his entire body is covered in hitboxes that deal this much knockback. It's very fast compared to other moves that are this strong, and very imprecise compared to Marth's F smash. Throwing it out when opponents don't expect it is a very potent mix-up. DI this move wrong and you've almost guaranteed your stock is gone. But all of that falls flat when none of Roy's moveset works towards an end goal. The Melee devs slapped random values on his moves, said, "Hey, that looks about right," and called it a day without playtesting him for more than 5 minutes. I mean, come on, look at his dash attack. Project M Roy's moveset fixes this in a few key ways. Detail and F smash aren't changed, since they're already great. To help guide Roy's punish game towards F smash, and reward Roy for landing down tilt in neutral, Project M increased the damage of nearly every single one of Roy's moves. Not only does this fix his problem of taking forever to rack up percent, damage is also an important variable in the formula Melee uses to calculate knockback. So when you buff the damage of his moves, they also go from being completely dysfunctional to being really great moves. Let's take a look at exactly what this change means for Roy. First of all, his sour spot hitboxes now have enough knockback that they can situationally be used to keep Roy safe or continue combos, like Marth's sour spots. Secondly, his sweet spots now function as useful hitboxes that can combo into other moves. Up air can now be used to juggle in a very similar fashion to Marth's. Up tilt and dash attack are now great DI mix-ups, and the list goes on. All because the knockback is actually significant. Moving on to other changes made by Project M. Roy's neutral air was already quite good in Melee, but with Project M's new animation, the two hits are closer together, and the hitboxes are active for longer, making them link together much better. His down smash has a new, faster animation that makes it a much better get-off-me tool, and a decent kill option against floaties. I ported most of these custom animations from Project M myself, but for down smash, we have Blow Edge and Super Hang to thank. Porting this many animations takes time. His back air has a new animation, and the sweet spot is much stronger. At high percents or near the blast zone, this will kill in a similar fashion to Falco's back air. Melee Roy suffered from serious arthritis, so this is a godsend. His down air was reworked so that instead of the useful 90-degree angle hitbox being on the tipper, it's now on the sweet spot, so it can supplement his up air juggle combos. Tipper down air sends at a nasty angle to gimp opponents trying to recover. The weak meteor hitbox on his head is now a strong spike with a fire effect. Combining down air and up air with Roy's tilts, you start to see a punish game that in a lot of ways mimics Sheik's. Lots of moves sending vaguely up, juggling the opponent in a way that you could just DI out of, but you're terrified of DIing out because of one excellent move. For Sheik, it's her forward air with that devastating angle. For Roy, it's his exceedingly powerful forward smash, and at higher percents, his new back air. As for his neutral game, Roy gets a new forward tilt that adds another layer onto his space and poke neutral game. It has a good amount of knockback and a very long range, so if your opponent isn't respecting your space, you can rip them a new one from across the stage. His up B animation was changed to help cover his return to the stage better than Melee's, and the useless hitbox that made Roy's up B punishable on hit is gone, of course. All of this combined together makes Roy's moveset a lot of fun, and much higher on the Melee tier list. He still feels so much like a Melee character. If you want to try out Project M Roy in Melee yourself, there's a download link in the description, and a link to an instructional video on how to install mods like these for Melee. If you find yourself wishing you could play this Roy in tournament, I highly encourage you to pick up Project M if you haven't. It's a lot of fun, and you get to play Melee-like characters that you won't ever find in Melee, no matter how much you wish you could. A functional Roy is waiting for you there.